Good evening, viewers. Welcome to the commemorative area of the Australian War Memorial for this special last post ceremony. My name's Richard Cruz. Shortly, a member of the Australian Defence Force who is currently deployed overseas will read this evening's story. We would like to acknowledge the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who continue to watch the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the Australian National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Now we will hear the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century.
Good evening, my name is Mark Skinner and I'm currently serving with the Royal Australian Navy. Today we pay tribute to Douglas Leonard Chilcott. Douglas Leonard Chilcott was born 10th of July 1922 in Ulverstone, Tasmania, to Leonard and Ada Chilcott. Growing up, the young Douglas Chilcott attended North Moreton State School, then Devonport High School. Prior to enlistment, he was employed as a junior teacher the Tasmanian Education Department, where his cheery disposition won him esteem with his comrades. Chilcott enlisted in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force on the 18th of May 1943 and was posted to the 2nd 3rd Battalion of the 16th Brigade of the 6th Division. At the time, the battalion was in the midst of a long period of training in northern Queensland. Chilcott was joining a battalion that had served with distinction in Baradi and Tobruk in Libya, and in Greece and in Syria in 1941, as well as at Kokoda and the beachhead battles in Papua in 1942 and early 1943. In October 1944, the 6th Division was sent to the north coast of New Guinea to destroy the Japanese forces remaining in the Atape Wewak area. The 2nd 3rd Battalion arrived in December. In late January, several days of torrential rain caused severe flooding to Denmap River. Rising and raging flood waters washed away bridges, boulders and trees. On the night of the 26th of January, the machine gun platoon, of which Private Chilcott was a member, found itself on a newly formed island in the flood waters. That night, the river rose 6 metres and above its banks. The men of the machine gun platoon clambered to what high ground there was and then into the treetops. The platoon commander, Lieutenant G.H. Fernside, a veteran of Tobruk and El Amina, found this night the most terrifying experience of his life and recounted. Some were killed outright in that mad onslaught of frenzied water and green timber. Others were swirled beneath the press of timber and drowned. Others were knocked unconscious and their bodies snatched and sent racing downstream, turning over and over like otters. The following day, survivors who had been washed away or floated away on logs and made it to safety of the banks gathered in their battalion area. 7 of the men of the machine gun company failed to report having drowned in the floodwaters. One of them was Private Chilcott. He was 22 years old. Chilcott's name is listed on the Lae Memorial at the Commonwealth War Cemetery in Lae, Papua New Guinea. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honour among the 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Douglas Leonard Chilcott, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and the hope of a better world. They shall not grow old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for watching and wish you all a very good evening.